In this episode, we're going to talk about go-to-market strategy. And this is part 2. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with what go-to-market strategy is, it is essentially the action plan. Perfect. Thanks for letting me know, guys. It is the action plan for targeting your market and ensuring that you have competitive advantage. So that's what it is. It's an action plan for ensuring that you can target your market effectively and that you have competitive advantage. Now, when you are launching a significant venture, it is one of the most important parts of your plan, even more so if you are seeking investment. Investors are going to want to see your go-to-market strategy, and it's a big influencer, not only in terms of your business viability, but in terms of whether you get investment as well. So really, really, really important piece. So in the last episode, I went through the first 3 components that your go-to-market strategy should have. So just a recap of that. The first thing was, where will you find leads? Really, really important. The next thing is how you'll attract leads, because finding leads and attracting leads are 2 different things. And then the third thing is how you will convert leads. Now, the last episode was 20 minutes long, and so I really did deep dive into each of these areas. My computer just died. See, this is the reality of going live. My tech does not want to play nice. My screen just completely died on me. My lighting died, and this is the reality of going live. But we move, as they say. So as I was saying, if you missed the last episode, what we did is we went through how do you find leads, how do you attract leads, and how do you convert leads. If you missed that, pop on over to our YouTube channel, search The Launch Strategist, and you will find us there. What I want to take you through in this episode is the next 3 components that your go-to-market strategy should have. Now, the first thing is market size. Now, any robust marketing strategy business plan should have the size of the market, because that determines the size of the opportunity. So let me explain what I mean by that. So if you want to say you want to do clothing, or let's use Veronique. So Veronique, who is on this live, makes hats. Now let's say Veronique decides that she wants to make hats for women. What she would do is she would try and find data to see how many women are there in the UK, if that's where she wants to target. Or maybe she might decide that, you know what, I only want to go after women in the Southeast. So she would look at, okay, how many women are there in the Southeast? Of those women, what age group are her clients likely to be? So how many women of that age group are likely to be in the Southeast of England? Furthermore, is there any data that demonstrates, that shows how many women in the Southeast are wearing hats these days? Is it on the rise? Is it growing? That's going to give you an idea of the market opportunity. And in turn, that's going to help you determine how much you can possibly earn from that market. So you would look at the whole market and you would say, you know what, realistically, I'm going to go after 1% of that market, 5% of that market. And so you would have a revenue projection based on the size of the market. When investors are looking at whether they want to invest in you, they are going to look at the market that you're going after and the share of the market. Even if you don't have investors or you're not seeking investment, it is still important to have that metric or know what the size of the market is. If you want more information on that, I've done a whole video on how to calculate the size of your market. Now, that isn't on my YouTube channel. That's part of a paid program. But if you want that, I will give you that video. I will send you a link to that. Just drop me a message in the comments or direct message me and I will send that, because it's an important piece of the pie. For you as a business owner, it's also good to know, actually, does this market that I'm going after have potential for me really to make money and for me to really, make the type of revenue that I want to go after? So a really, really important point. The next thing is your growth strategy. So what is your growth strategy? Now, I always say it's important to start with a niche and to go narrow. But although you are starting with, you're welcome, Veronique, although you are starting with a niche, that's not where you should stay. So the point of starting with a niche is so that you can focus, that you can be known for something, and that, you know, when budget is tighter than it will be in the future, when you really want to hone resources, when you really want to be known, at first it's better to start in a narrow niche. That's what Amazon did. That's what Apple did. All the big brands started with a niche. But a niche is only to get you out the gate. As your business grows, as you gain reputation, you want to be growing and expanding. And in your go-to-market strategy, it's a good idea, it's important to have your growth strategy. So what is your strategy for growth? And now I'm going to take you back to marketing school, and I'm going to teach you something called the Ansoff Matrix. The Ansoff Matrix. And so this gives you 4 options for strategic growth. Now, if you can visualize this, on the left-hand side, you have market and you have new and existing. And at the bottom, you have product, new and existing. Now, I'm going to give you 4 potential strategies for growth, and I want you to picture this. And if you can, Google Ansoff Matrix so you can see this visually. And so typically you would follow one of these 4 growth strategies. The first strategy, which is the least risky, is going to be penetration of the market. So this is where you keep the same product, the same existing market, but you go for more of that market. So for example, if you decided that, you know, I want to go after 1% of that market, you might decide, you know what, I'm actually going to go after 5% of that market. And so you just put more marketing budget behind it, you put more energy and resource behind it, and you go after more of that market. So that is market penetration. It's the least risky because by the time you're exploring that, you would have already been known and established in that marketplace. So that's the first one, market penetration. The next one is market development. So if you're looking at that matrix, market penetration is at the bottom left. So existing market, existing product. Market penetration is at the top left. Okay, so market penetration, this is where you have the same product, but you go after a new market. So this is where maybe you started in the UK and you go after Europe, or maybe you started in Europe and you go after the US. So that strategy for growth is called market development. Okay, and so yeah, that's in the top left. The next strategy is going to be product development. So this is where bottom right, this is where you're going to have new product, existing market. So this is where you might have, you go after your same market. So for example, Veronique, her example of hats, she might decide that, you know what, I've started with hats. Now I'm going to offer this market hats and scarves or other accessories as well. That would be product development. And then the most risky is in the top right. That would be new product, new market. Okay, and that is the most risky strategy. So that's if you're going after, and Amazon does this brilliantly. So, you know, it sells everything. So that is a prime example now of diversification. It now sells everything. But in order to be successful there, you not only have to have good traction and a strong brand, but you have to have the money to do it because it gets expensive in the top right. The point being that you have to have a growth strategy. And those are 4 growth strategies that you can pursue. And your growth strategy also needs to be in your go-to-market plan as well. So 4th tip that we went through is size of the market. 5th tip is what is your growth strategy, not tips, components. And the final component needs to go, not the final, there's a lot more to this. It's not possible for me to give you the whole go-to-market strategy, but these are the key 6 things. The 6th thing you want to have in your go-to-market strategy is how are you going to scale? Because it's great to have a profitable business that's just you or you and your small team. But especially if you want investors, how are you going to scale? If you say you want to move from a 6-figure to a 7-figure business, how are you going to do that? Because a lot of times what we forget is we throw these numbers about what we want to make in terms of revenue, but we haven't factored in how we're going to scale operationally. And so, that is a conundrum that many of us face. You achieve a level of success, you validate your business idea, you're making money, you're generating business. Now the issue is, how do you scale? And for many of us that have built personal brands where a lot of our clients are buying us, the conundrum is, how do you move from people buying what you sell because of you and your personal brand to actually buying what your business does, even if you're not fronting that? How do you there's lots of questions around scalability, but it's a very, very important question. So really important topic, go-to-market strategy. If you really want to get the full scope of the things that you need to consider in that, then definitely do watch the replay, and also watch part 1 on our YouTube channel as well. Just search for The Launch Strategist. If you have any questions, pop them in the comments. Also, if this has kind of whet your appetite or got you a little bit curious, and maybe you've just thought, actually, I don't have a go-to-market strategy for my business, or this is not, there's been something that I've spoken about that you haven't considered, and you want a deep dive, then we offer a number of ways that you can do that. So we have a workshop, a full-day workshop where we will develop out your go-to-market strategy with you. That is on the website. So if you go to thelaunchstrategist.com and you click on workshops, you can see a little bit of information about that. And if you're interested, just direct message me and I can tell you a little bit more about that. And then at the higher level, that's kind of one of our mid-tier offerings. And at one of our high-level offerings is 6P Consultancy. And so this is where we do everything from plan your launch and develop your strategy for you to implement your launch. At the moment, for example, we are developing a go-to-market strategy for a really amazing company. If you want help, there's help. Don't feel like you have to do this on your own, because it's a really important piece of the pie. Thank you guys for watching. You are amazing. I appreciate your presence. Thank you so much, Janine. So glad you found this useful. Thank you for bearing with me as we had tech issues today. And I'll be back with you on Tuesday. If you have any comments, any questions, even if you're watching the replay, drop them in the comments below. And I always come back and check the comments, and I will always get back to you and respond to you. Have an amazing weekend. It's raining outside where I am, but hopefully it brightens up. Have an amazing weekend, great rest of the week, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.